I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Hi guys. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Wherever you are joining us. Today is another episode, another live section. But today is quite different, because of the importance and the weight of the person we are bringing on board today. I had to do this myself. I had to be the one to be the host for today. Okay, my name is Tunde, like you all know, and today we'll be having Dr. Abidemi Talabi as our guest, and I will be engaging him in some questions, just to share insights about the general knowledge with vegetable production. And the topic today is effective nutrient management in vegetable production. Okay, Doctor, can you please introduce yourself, sir?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Today. Good evening from UAE. You might be in different time zones wherever you are hearing me or whenever you come across this recording. So I'm Abidemi Talabi by name. I'm a senior crop scientist here in the UAE with Silal, and I'm happy to be here tonight as a guest speaker, right? So let's see how it goes. I'm happy to share with you some ideas, some insights, and some concepts on nutrient management in vegetables. Thank you.
All right, thank you, doctor. For some of us that know doctor very well, what I would advise is that take your pen and jotter. There are a lot of problems and insights that you have to write down so that you don't forget. Okay. Doctor introduced himself as a senior scientist. Okay. He's also the convener for GrowVeg Challenge. The 5.0. We started from 1.0 to 2.0, 3, 4, and now the 5.0 is starting by February 9. Okay. So today we'll be talking about effective nutrient management in vegetable production. Okay. So I'll be asking Doctor a few questions. Doctor, the first one I'll be asking you now. What does effective nutrient management mean? I mean, we hear these terminologies a lot. Okay. So what does it mean exactly in using the context of vegetable production?
Okay, thank you very much for that very wonderful question, Mr. Tunde. So, for me, I would say effective nutrient management means that you are trying to meet the need of the plant, right, without actually destroying the environment and without also causing problem for the plant itself. And what do I mean? You need to first understand the status of the soil, right? Then you also want to understand the type of crop you are growing and what it really requires to grow. When you have that knowledge, you also need a knowledge of the specific variety within that crop, because we also see that there are some differences from variety to variety. Again, you also need to understand your soil texture, right? So all of this together, as well as the type of nutrients that is going to be applied, you need to know the properties as well. All of this put together are what you need to know, you know, and that is how you are going to effectively manage the entire, putting together all of these factors and the materials that are needed without constituting any problem to the environment. So that's effective nutrient management. You are meeting the needs of the plant in terms of nutrition without damaging the environment, right? And then without harming the plant itself. That is what I would call effective nutrient management. So it might involve, knowing the right amount, to apply, knowing the right timing to apply that particular amount of, fertilizer or the recipe that you have, and then knowing the right type of method to use, whether you want to do broadcasting or you want to do the banding method. All of these things are things that come together to actually constitute effective nutrient management in the vegetable production. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you for that brief but detailed explanation. When we started, I told their pen and jotter ready for because they're going to do a lot of things. He said effective nutrient management also involves the kind of method you use, okay, in applying these your nutrients. Aha. Now progressing, doctor, why is nutrient management particularly important for vegetable compared to other crops? We say that vegetables require special treatment. In fact, the nutrient they require, you have to be very, very careful to know the specific requirements, the nutritional requirements of the vegetables, unlike other crops like cassava or maize that we just joke around with. So why is nutrients particularly important for vegetables compared to other crops?
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. So, actually, many of you will agree with me that we all consider vegetables to be perishables. And apart from being perishables, also they are very, very sensitive, so to say. I used to tell my team, there's one particular crop that we don't joke with at all, and you all know it. We call it cucumber. For those of you who know cucumber, you know that if there's any, poor management of nutrition in cucumber, within a couple of 3 to 5 days, you might almost be losing the crop, right? So these are the reasons why vegetables are very peculiar. For the likes of maize, cassava, those are very rugged crops that, in fact, you might not even attend to them for a couple of, maybe let's say a space of 1 week thereabout, and you are still fine. But you cannot do that with vegetables. And also, some of the vegetables have very, very short crop cycle. So, for something that has a very short crop cycle, you have to be very sure that you are really on point with the management that is required per time. So that's why I think that particularly for vegetables, you have to be very, very careful because they are very sensitive, they are very fragile. They have, again, you also want to be conscious of the quality of what you are going to be producing at the end of the day. And if you lose the timing, or if you lose the right dosage, or if you don't really manage things properly when you are supposed to, you might not be able to regain that again. So that is why they are very sensitive.
All right, thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
Vegetables are very, very sensitive. Okay, you have to be careful and you have to be meticulous about their planting and also the cultivation in general.
Mm.
Having said all you said, doctor, now how can farmers actually determine the nutrient needs of their soil before planting vegetables? How can they determine the specific level of nutrients or the exact nutrients they have in their soil before they plant their vegetable seeds?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tunde. You would know that I've always advocated for, soil testing. Whenever anybody wants to go into planting, you need to first know what is the status of the nutrient in your soil. What are the nutrients that are present? What are the ones that are actually lacking? Again, you want to know those that are present in your soil. Are they in the required level, or are they in toxic levels, or are they in deficient levels? So these are the things you have to ascertain. So a farmer needs to take soil samples from his farm before he actually starts any production. You want to have this basal, like you want to have this we call it, yeah, basal soil testing. You want to have the information about the nutritional status of the soil before you start at all. So a farmer should take sample if you are growing in the open field, or even if you are doing soil-based farming also in the greenhouse. You have to take sample to ascertain what the nutrition status of your soil is before you start planting your vegetables at all. So you have to send that to the lab, and it's usually recommended that these samples should be sent to the lab. But there are some cases where people are using some gadgets to do the testing and all of that. But for real accuracy, for a start, I always recommend that you send to the lab. And subsequently, in the course of the season, you can now use these handheld devices or gadgets to ascertain the nutrient levels as you proceed in the growth cycle of the crop. So I don't know if I answered your question or you want me to add more.
Yes, yes. Thank you, doctor. We've done justice to that. Okay,
Yeah.
before we progress further, okay, for people just joining us, okay, this is a live section with Dr. Abidemi Talabi, and he's doing justice to effective nutrient management in vegetable production. How do we ensure that we give the right nutrients at the right time, at the right proportion, or in the right dosage to our vegetable crops? Okay, and all of this is what is doing justice to. Okay, this is just a tidbit of what you get to hear when you register for GrowVeg Challenge 5.0. Okay, we've done 1.0, we've done 2.0, we've done 3.0, we've done 4.0, and now 5.0 is about to start. Okay, so what you just need to do is just go to growveg.leveragefresh.com. Okay, GrowVeg, GROOWVEG.leveragefresh.com, and you get all the information you need to register on GrowVeg Challenge. Okay, and you can also send us a DM on Facebook. Okay, So this is just a tidbit. There is more, there's more when it comes to GrowVeg challenge. Okay. So doctor, now we've talked about how farmers should actually determine their nutrients, okay, before they actually plant their vegetable seed, right? Okay. Now, how would they now differentiate uh, the specific requirement each plant needs at different stage? Or, for instance, if I'm planting today or tomorrow, and I put 1 gram of NPK per my, if I'm transplanting tomorrow, and the second day I put 1 gram of NPK, is that the same amount of NPK I'll be giving my plants, even when they are flowering, when they are fruiting, and when they are almost at harvest stage? Okay, so how should nutrient application differ at uh, various growth stages of vegetable crops, or they are no different at all?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tunde. So, well, I love this question, and sometimes I usually paint this analogy when I'm trying to explain to people. Plants are just like humans, but it's just so difficult for people to really understand this. When a child is young, for example, when you have just given birth to a child and the child is just less than 6 months, they're advising you to give the child milk, right? In fact, in some cases, they're asking the mothers to do exclusive. That means you are not giving the child anything else except from milk. And it's because the child is small at that time, right? The systems have not been fully developed. All they can take up is milk. After a while, when the child is becoming 1, 2, thereabout, then you start introducing, the solid food, right? The same thing applies to the plant. So when the plant is very young, that means the truth of the matter is that all plants they require 16 essential nutrients, to complete their life cycle, which we all know. But what we need to know is that when and how much quantity of these different nutrients do they need per time, right? So you need to ascertain that. And that is why when they are just starting, when the crops are young, we usually start them up with, the NPK that everybody knows, right? And again, some of them are even more crucial. For example, for root development, you want to be looking at the phosphorus is very important for vegetative development as well. When the crop is still very young, nitrogen is very important. And even you will see that many times, even when you're advising people, about 60 to 70% of your nitrogen requirement must have been applied even before the plant starts flowering, right? So these are the things that you need the knowledge of to really understand how to manage your nutrients when you are growing your crop. Again, when your plant is now, of course, when you're also growing your crop at the earlier stages also, you are thinking about the calcium. You want it to have the cell wall development has to be strong so that you can have good stock, against wind and all of these things. And by the time your fruits start developing also, then you are thinking about the potassium. You are thinking also about the calcium, right? So all of these things are part of the things that you just need the knowledge. So when your plant is transitioning, you started, it's emerging, you are applying the NPK, but you know that the quantity is not going to be much at that time. Why? Because the root system is just developing. So why do you want to apply? Again, every nutrient, every plant actually has a limit to how much nutrient they can absorb per day. Okay. So if, for example, your plant can only absorb, let's say one plant can only absorb about 5 grams, or let's say 5 grams of nitrogen, for example, and then you are applying 12 grams. That means that day only 5 grams will be absorbed, right? And nitrogen, nitrogen can actually be lost through leaching, denitrification, volatile. But it can be volatilized also, right? So if you know all of this, then you know that you just need to apply exactly what the plant needs per time. Do you understand? So these are all of the knowledge that we need, and that's why we also put together. For those who are aware, we have what we call the production guide, where we have actually put together what the plant requires on a daily basis from start to finish. So, for example, if you are growing your cucumber, you know what to apply to your cucumber plant from day one, to day 90, which is for example, if you are growing a 90 days variety cucumber crop, right? So these are the knowledge that you need to put in place so that you can give a proper balanced diet, and you are also applying this at the right time, using the right dose and also the right method of application. So it varies. Your question is, will it be the same? No, it will not be the same. It will keep changing as the plant continues to grow and develop. And then you need to meet the required need at that particular stage of growth and development. If you apply too much when it is not needing it, you are going to be wasting it. You waste resources. Apart from wasting the resources, because of course, when there is leaching, also then you pollute the waterways, right? If you are also applying what is less than enough, to the plant, then you are stressing the plant, and the plant will have retarded growth, and a lot of other deficiency symptoms will actually come up. So this is my answer to you. I don't know if that's good enough for you. Want me to add more? Let me know, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, doctor. And also when you mentioned the issue of over fertilization, okay, I think we have a question for you in that regard, and I will just add so that you just provide clarity to that as well.
Okay.
Uh, so what are the risks of over fertilization in vegetable production, and how can we avoid it, especially for uh, pending GrowVeg 5.0 participants? People who are willing waiting to be onboarded by February 9. Okay, how can they avoid over fertilization?
Okay. So, well, the first question is the first answer is question is that what are the risks of over fertilization? So, the first risk is that one, you are going to be stressing the plant because some of the elements that you are applying might be in toxic levels. So if there are some certain level that you should not exceed, so to say, for example, maybe somebody is talking about boron now, for example, you believe that point 0.5 ppm should be optimum for this particular vegetable crop, and now you are having it in about 2 ppm. 2 ppm is already in toxic levels, right? So this will stress your plant. It will stress your plant. So when you over fertilize, your plant is subjected to toxicity stress. Okay. Iron toxicity is one of the common ones that people talk about as well, right? And apart from you stressing the plant by giving more than enough, you are also wasting your resources, right? Because you are applying more than what is needed. The rest has to be lost somehow. And apart from wasting your resources, the third risk is also that you will risk you polluting the waterways. So if you put more than what the plant can absorb, when there is leaching or probably there's runoffs and all of that, it actually takes this excess into the water bodies and they get polluted. So you are constituting hazard to the aquatic life. So these are the risks that are actually attached to over fertilization. So it's not just about I just want to put what I like. No, when you put more than what is required, you stress the plant, you waste your resources, and you also contaminate the waterways. That is the risk. And then when you're asking how can this be avoided, how it can be avoided is actually having the right knowledge and putting the plan down on pen and paper. I usually prepare this for any crop. We can prepare, a fertilization program. And when you give that to anybody, there is dates and then there is amount to be applied and there is timing for application also. And when you give this to anybody, they know what to do per time. So they know that, okay, I'm applying just 2 kilograms of NPK and then I'm applying it with another 1 kilogram of urea because today's date is so, 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 and so. So all of this is what you need to put down when you want to grow your crop. So you don't just wake up one day and say, oh, today I will apply NPK. And you just tell the person, put 5 kilos. And tomorrow you come back and say, no, no, no. This is where these problems come. When you don't have the right plan, you don't have everything carefully planned on how it's supposed to be implemented. And that goes to what I mentioned exactly the other time. We usually have a guide. And that guide, so if I plant my crop today, today will be day 0 for that crop. Tomorrow will be day 1. And I have that listed from day 1 to, for crops that are over 180 days, I have up to 180 days. For example, when I'm growing some tomatoes, I can have up to 180 days. Excuse me. Some that can extend beyond that, I have even up to 270 days. And each of those days are already indicated what I'm going to be applying. So these are just the strategies that can really help you to be precise. And like I tell people, nothing is cast in stone. Okay, because there are a lot of things that are also that are going to be interacting during the growth cycle of any crop. So whether you have a plan or not, there are possibilities that some things will happen during the growth cycle that will make you to see that what you're applying is probably not enough or is more than enough. But when you have a plan based on the normal general understanding that is available for the crop that you want to grow, it's going to help you, to stay in shape. And when there is a problem, you can easily trace and know where the problem is coming from. So this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I mentioned the risk already, and I'm also saying how you can avoid it is by having a plan. Have a fertilizer program that is carefully planned on day-to-day basis. Here, because of course we are in the desert here in Dubai. We are using sandy soil, which is a bit coarse. So all of this informs our decision. Now, when I'm growing my vegetable crop, you see that every day I'm applying fertilizer. Why am I doing that? And I'm doing them bit by bit and only applying exactly what the plant requires, because I know that the water holding capacity is bad. Like, right, the soil is so porous, right? So whatever you put in the soil, it doesn't stay there. It's not going to be held, in the soil for too long, compared to those of you who are using loamy soil, or people who are growing in clay or silt related soil like that. So all of these things are part of the things that actually informs. Again, people who are in if you are growing also crop in loamy soil or probably clay soil or things like this, you can use more of slow release fertilizers, right? But here we are using water soluble fertilizers, the ones that you just put it straight and then it goes straight and releases the nutrients, right, for the crop to utilize them. So these are the considerations that you need to have if you want to avoid over fertilization. Thank you very much. Mr.
Yeah,
Tunde.
thank you so much, Doctor. That was really, really well detailed. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sure.
Ah, hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Chai,
I can hear you, Mr.
the
Tunde.
network is actually breaking up.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I said, thank you so much, Doctor. Uh, everything Doctor highlighted or said, those are the things we're going to teach you in GrowVeg Challenge 5.0. Much more than that as well. And when he was mentioning things that are the guide that highlight or lay down what you're supposed to do on a daily basis. Yeah, that's GrowVeg Challenge. For every day, we have what you're supposed to do. For instance, the day you're supposed to fertigate, how do you fertigate? In what dosage of that particular fertilizer do you fertigate? Okay. When you're supposed to spray, okay, what quantity of pesticides do you spray? At what days do you spray? Okay. Uh, even what's it called? In nursery, okay, when you seed, okay, when are you supposed to apply your nutrients? What's the ratio of the diago green? What's the ratio of the agrovat? So all these are covered when you join GrowVeg Challenge. Okay. Let's take some of our comments. Um, okay. Clara is that's our ambassador. With GrowVeg Challenge, you grow and feed with precision. Okay. Uh, no under or over nutrient application exactly. Okay. Yeah, we have some questions here, but I think we'll also take that once we are done with some prepared questions. We'll just take some of the questions we have for you. Okay. We have from our audience. Okay. Now, doctor have dealt with over fertilization and the risks involved. Okay. And also, how do we avoid uh, giving our plants too much nutrient that they need? When you give them too much nutrient, there's a limit to which they can take at that particular uh, point in time. Okay. And when you under fertilize as well, you are stressing them. Okay. That has been very, very explained by doctor. Okay. So the next question I want to ask doctor now,
Yeah.
nutrient deficiencies, okay, that we normally see in vegetables, and how can farmers identify them? Okay, what are the and how can farmers identify them early? And also, doctor, I want you to mention the areas whereby there are some deficiencies that also look alike that we might wait for another deficiency. For instance, yellowing of leaves is common to two or three
Mm.
deficiencies. Okay, and farmers might just take it as just nitrogen deficiency alone. Aha.
Mm.
So, doctor, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much for that amazing question. So, like we mentioned earlier, when you apply nutrients in less than required amount, then you are stressing the plant, you are subjecting them to nutrient deficiencies, like we mentioned. So, one of it that is very common, like you mentioned, is nitrogen deficiency. Now, one particular one particular thing that is common to most of these deficiencies is that you see that there's usually stunted growth. It starts with stunted growth, actually. So you will see that if you have very good experience, you will see that the growth of the plant based on the variety you are growing is not the way it's supposed to be if you have grown that variety before. But if you have not grown that variety before, mostly the yellowing of leaves that people are saying is when that nutrient deficiency is becoming at an advanced stage, right? So you see the yellowing of leaves, mostly in nitrogen, you see all the leaves are getting yellow, especially the ones that are actually uh, close to the base of the plant, right? Again, there are also some other deficiencies, like, for example, also when there is a deficiency in potassium, also, you have scorching, and again, you also have yellowing of leaves in potassium deficiency. But the only difference is that the yellowing of leaves in potassium is actually at the edges of the leaf, right? So you can easily see this kind of differences. So there are similarities in some because of the yellowing which is cutting across, but you can see the difference that the one for potassium is at the edges, but the one for the nitrogen is all over the leaf and also even close to the midrib, right? So also there could be deficiency of phosphorus. When you have phosphorus deficiency, this one also, you will see a bit of stunted growth, but you see that the leaves are turning to dark green, and eventually some of them are turning purple. And this actually happens to the leaves also, like I mentioned, the lower leaves of the plant. So these are just some of the common deficiencies that we have, and I've just mentioned a couple of them relating to maybe when the plant is just growing and all of that. There are some that you see when the plant is already fruiting. For example, there is this um, BER that we have, for example, in when there's calcium deficiency, right? We call it blossom end rot. You see that the base of your, it happens in tomatoes, it happens in peppers and all of these things, like the base of the plant is turning rotting, like blackish color, like this and all of this. So these are all deficiency syndromes that calls our attention to the fact that the plant is not getting the required nutrients. And I know that you all agree with me now that there's a difference between the available nutrients and the one that the plant is able to uptake effectively, right? So all of these things requires knowledge, and by the time you are seeing this kind of deficiency in your crop, it's just drawing your attention to the fact that it might not be that you have not applied the right nutrient. It might be that, like, you will see that one of the reasons why we actually take soil samples, like we have always mentioned, is not just to know the nutrient levels. We also want to know whether the soil is having the right pH, right? Because we know there is an interaction between the pH, and nutrient absorption. So if you are not having your if the pH is not right enough, if it's not within the allowable range for absorption, then you might have nutrients in the soil, but the plant cannot actually absorb them. So when your attention is drawn to deficiency in your crop, it's not just about you not being able to apply the required nutrients. It could also be that you have applied the required nutrient, but there are some other things you need to check to be sure that uh, everything is in the right proportion for the absorption to take place. Okay, I think there is a network problem. I don't know where Mr. Tunde has disappeared to, but that's my response to that question. I think I can see, I don't know if there are some other questions he has here. Mm, okay. Okay, so maybe before Mr. Tunde comes back, I can just check a couple of questions here and see if I can respond. So somebody is asking here, he said, okay, oh, Mr. Tunde is back.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
Mr.
sorry
Tunde,
for the network interrupt.
no
Yes.
problem. You can go to your next question. I was almost
Can you
about
hear me,
answering.
doctor?
Yes, 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 I can hear you. You're welcome back. I was about answering some of the questions from
All right.
the online viewers, but you can go ahead with your questions now. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So thank you, doctor.
You will.
Now this particular question I want to ask you now is very, very important to a lot of us, especially the GrowVeg community. Okay. A lot of people do not actually have enough resources to get some of these inorganic fertilizers. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want you to share more light on how farmers can balance the use of organic manure and inorganic fertilizers for optimal results. How can they incorporate the two for them to actually have good yield? Okay, and also have fresh fruits and big fruits, which is very, very important in vegetable, especially when you're dealing with tomato and pepper. You need that big fruit and fresh fruit. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, doctor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tunde, for that amazing question. So, well, there are quite a couple of ways that you can. In actual fact, we've mentioned that when you are talking about integrated nutrient management, you are not talking about just using organic alone. Integrated nutrient management means that you are meeting the requirement of the crop in terms of nutrition by both organic and inorganic, fertilizers, bringing them together in the right proportion and then meeting the need of the plant. So now, how can farmers balance this? The first one is that there are so many things naturally available to you that can actually give you some of the nutrients that are required for your crop. And you will be surprised that many of the GrowVeg participants in the past, they've come up with a lot of ideas. Innovation is part of what we actually encourage in GrowVeg. We give you the standards, we also guide you, and then we want people to be innovative. You will see that if you go back to some of the videos that some of our participants have made, they were able to extract calcium from eggshell, for example. So somebody who does not have money for calcium, you can easily extract. So the procedure and all that, they did it, and even the right dosage that you need. It's something to be able to extract eggshell and extract calcium. Is another to know the right proportion to actually apply to it, right? So we already have all of these things. So people can extract eggshell. We also have what we call this manure tea that we do. For example, the manure tea, people take the manure, they soak in water for a couple of days, they extract the water, and they use it to actually apply nutrient to their crop. This is another very, innovative method. Some people have been doing that for some time also. Yeah, fine, I agree. But it's also a method that if you have manure, for example, in your farm, or you have a nearby farm where there is poultry or stuff like this, you can easily take the manure, extract the manure tea, and use it actually to grow your crop. And a couple of other approaches. I know some people also were trying to extract something from banana. I cannot remember what that particular element was, but I saw one of the participants also did all of that. So there are a lot of methods that you can actually, incorporate to help you. And that's why we always say that everyday people can grow healthy vegetable crops profitably, using whatever the resources they have at their disposal once they have the right knowledge and they have the right guidance. And that is why we are here to guide and support you. So this is what I would say, Mr. Tunde. You can help me add the other ones that probably I missed because you are the leader of the of the challenge. So you should tell me what the other ones that I missed. But I remember that they extracted from the eggshell. Some people also, use the manure tea. I also saw people, even for the pest management, GrowVeg participants were doing extraction of neem oil. These are innovative stuffs that people are doing that you'll be like, wow. I also saw, yeah, the wood ash also. People are able to also extract, wood ash for their crop and all of these things. So these are the ways that you can actually complement based on what you have, and then you can complement with what you do not have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, doctor. I was about saying some things, but then I remembered. We just want to give you a tidbit of what you get when you register for GrowVeg Challenge. Okay. When we start giving you secrets now, you feel you are okay. Okay. Come and get more knowledge. Honestly, let me just talk about the GrowVeg Challenge a little bit. Okay, for some of us that are just joining us now. You know, there are a lot of online trainings out there. Okay, but I've not seen a trainee, okay, an online training of vegetable production like GrowVeg Challenge. We structure it in such a way that it runs at your pace, but then there's accountability. Okay, A lot of people are actually working. Probably they only get chance to watch videos or take any extra course or anything probably in the evening. Yeah, the GrowVeg Challenge actually gives rooms for that. And the training is structured in just two phases. There is the theoretical aspect and there is practical aspect. The theoretical aspect is to take care of, there are a lot of people that know about agriculture, but a lot of people do not know about how to successfully and profitably grow vegetable crops. Okay, so the theoretical aspect takes you through everything you need to know about vegetable production, the terminologies that we normally hear that we don't know the meaning, the rudiment, the basis of vegetable production. And after that, you have the practical phase. So the practical phase is where you now get your hands dirty. Realize that when a lot of people take online courses, okay, and they don't get to put what they've learned or what they are learning to practice, over time we forget. And that's also the way human brain works. Okay, even your cutlass, if you don't sharpen it very well and you just dump it somewhere, it gets blunt. Okay, and it's not be sharp again. The human brain also works in that direction. Okay, and so the practical phase takes here, from the CD, how to take your soil sample, your soil go take your soil sample for soil analysis, how to nurse your seed, the nutrient application done in your nursery, how to transplant, when to transplant, uh post transplanting operation like your spraying, your nutrient schedule. Okay, at what stage do you apply calcium, in what quantity do you apply, at what stage did you apply magnesium, when you want to transplant, do you put your phosphorus for root formation, a lot of other things, a lot. And there are also guides for some of these crops. Okay, doctor was saying the other time that we have guys that outline everything you need to do on a daily basis. Yeah, you also have access to community of like-minded. Okay, a lot of people who are also farming enthusiasts like you. And the top of it is you have access to be mentored by Dr. Talabi. You know, being mentored by Dr. Abidemi Talabi is one privilege that a lot of GrowVeg from the past, they cherish that a lot because they know what it takes. Doctor is not somebody you have access to. When you are setting up your feed, it's not somebody you have access to consult for you. Okay, but by virtue of being a GrowVeg challenge, you can easily send a message to the group and it will respond that, okay, do it this way, do it that way. So the essence of the GrowVeg is to, teach everyday people that they can grow crops, vegetable crops, irrespective of whatever disposal resources they have at their disposal. Okay, so that is GrowVeg challenge for you. Looking at the food insecurity in the country, level of unemployment, even the foods that are not safe anymore. Okay, so there is need for us to take charge of what we eat. We need to grow what we eat, and that is why GrowVeg challenge was established. Okay, so we'll be proceeding with the other questions now. Okay. Doctor, so what advice do you have for smallholders farmers who want to manage nutrients effectively with limited resources? This is also key for GrowVeg challenge. Some of them do not have the resources to start on a large scale. Okay, some of them just want to do a plot, two plots. Some of them even want to grow in sacks. Some of them want to grow in rooftop, on the rooftop, like we have some of our participants. Okay, so how do they manage their nutrients effectively and still achieve desired results? You are muted, doctor.
So sorry, I didn't know that I was muted. Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. So again, this question is related to one of the questions that I think I answered earlier. The first starting point for anybody who is starting cultivation of any crop is to first know the nutritional composition of the medium you want to use to grow that crop, right? So if you are doing whatever you are, even if you are growing in bags, like many people have reached out to me, say, if you are growing in bags, take samples first also, right? Know what is in that soil, right? Again, if you are growing in normal hydroponics, if you are using cocoa peat or you are using pellets or whatever, if you are using all of that also, you have to know that, okay, this is different from the soil medium and I have to apply all the nutrients that are required because I'm assuming that there's no nutrient in this at all, right? So that is the first place to start from. So the next thing is that once you know what is in your soil and you are sure that it is actually having the right pH that will allow for absorption, then you are just going to be applying what is required. Now, if you have limited resources, one of the things we said earlier is that there are opportunities for you to complement your nutritional requirements of your crop by taking things that are already readily available in nature. Like, for example, I gave an example of somebody who was extracting calcium from eggshell, like people who are using manure tea. So you can use a couple of these things that are just available within your vicinity without you having to buy excessive fertilizers. Again, there are some of the things that I cannot personally remember right now, but I can remember that many of our participants, they have done a lot of these methods of extracting different kind of nutrients in the past, and they even have it posted on their social media pages. Unfortunately, I can't remember all, like I mentioned. So those are the ways that you can actually manage your resources well. When you know what is required and you are able to provide exactly what is required, then that is effective management. So this is just what I will say for now. If I remember later, maybe I will make a post on my Facebook page for you to see. And I know a lot of people also have done quite a lot of other things, like I mentioned from the participants. You can visit their pages. You can visit Clara's pages. She has done a lot of videos on how she extracted calcium, how she extracted some other nutrients from banana, how she uses wood ash, and a lot of stuff like that. So those are the ways to manage things if you don't have enough resources. Again, you can use anything that is available to you. You can grow in your balcony, you can grow in your backyard, you can use a rooftop. One of our participants who was the first winner she grew tomatoes on the rooftop. And so there's nothing stopping you. And she used almost everything was just natural. She used normal grow bags, she used the bottles. She didn't even have the right what I would call it now. She didn't have drip irrigation. She improvised her own drip irrigation, right? So there's quite a lot you can do once you are determined to get started. And that's why we're encouraging you to get started. Thank you.
Yeah, I said I was not going to add to that to the various ways we can improvise nutrients. The organic way we can get some of our nutrients if the inorganic ones are expensive. But I'm going to say this, in addition to what doctor said, uh, there are some participants that also they get banana peel, okay, and they get potassium from it. They also get
Potassium.
banana peel, yeah, get potassium from it, okay. I've said that. But there are lots more ways where, in case you do not have money to get some of these bad uh, inputs, there are different ways you can, do homemade fertilizers, even homemade pesticides. Okay, you can extract neem oil, you spray as your pesticides, even as fungicides, you spray as fungicides. Okay, so there are different other techniques and other ways you don't have to spend too much, and yet you will still get something. Okay. So let's go to some of the questions before I take okay. Okay, yes, we are looking at the question now. Okay. Uh Clara is saying, going according to the leverage limited production guide, I haven't noticed blossom end drought in my tomato and pepper production. Thank you, Clara. Yes, if you follow our guide, it tells you the specific time you need to apply your calcium very well. Okay, so that you don't have blossom end drought. Okay. Uh, okay. So this is for doctor now. How does soil test relate with nutrition application? For instance, if my soil test shows that I have adequate nitrogen, does it mean no need to apply nitrogen during the plant cycle? Okay, I think doctor should take that before we move to the
Okay.
next one.
Thank you very much for that question. So, if your soil is telling you that you have adequate nitrogen in the soil, is it actually the available? Is it that nitrogen is available for plant uptake? Like I was mentioning earlier, there's a difference between the available nitrogen in the soil and the available nitrogen for uptake, right? So the first thing is to determine whether that's enough. That's what is actually available in terms of uptake that the plant can actually uptake. So if it's just available in the plant and it's not what is fully available for the plant to uptake, then you need to add, you know, Only time you will not add more is when you are sure that what is available is actually what the plant is going to be, is available for the plant to uptake from the soil. So that is my response to that. So you might need to apply more if what is there is not available, if not fully available for the plant's uptake. Whatever percentage is required to make it up for you to have it in, the available form that will be sufficient and to meet the requirement of the crop, then you have to apply that. That is my response.
All right. Thank you, doctor, for
And
that.
sorry, let me also add sorry. And you know also that it also depends. You cannot say that once it's available, the plant continues to, you know, on a daily basis, the plant is extracting nutrient from the soil. So there's a need to replenish, right? That's why you still need to continue to apply after the initial test, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Okay. Now, this is coming from Babaola Sunday Busayo. Okay. Can I use this CP that is dicalcium phosphate in place of calcium? Okay. Before doctor provides answer to that, I'll just add, yes, you can. It has calcium, but the challenge with it is it has both calcium and phosphorus. Okay. So when you're applying that, no, you're giving your plant both phosphorus and calcium. Okay. But there are times where what your plant need at that moment is actually the calcium alone. Okay. So when you're applying it, know that you're giving your plant not just the calcium alone, but also phosphorus. And the quantity of calcium in dicalcium phosphorus is not the same thing as the one you get in ordinary calcium nitrate. Okay. So doctor can provide more clarity to that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Tunde. You've already answered the question. Yes, the truth is that you can use it, but you have to know of that how much percentage is actually contained in your dicalcium phosphate. That's actually the exact quantity of calcium that you require to apply to your crop, like Mr. Tunde mentioned. Again, you apply this particular type of fertilizer if you also have intention of applying phosphorus at the same time, to your crop. And you have to calculate. There's a way we do all this calculation, knowing what the exact quantity of each element is in the fertilizer. Like one of the common examples that we have always used is NPK 15 15 15, right? So people know that, okay, this is the quantity of N, this is the quantity of P and the K. The same thing you have to do for the dicalcium phosphate. Time will not suffice us to actually be discussing all of this. They are a bit elementary. So, but you have to just be sure that you are able to determine the quantity of the calcium that you really require, and you have to be sure is present in the final amount of that particular fertilizer you're applying. And don't also forget also to account for the phosphate that is there. If you don't require phosphate, then you go for calcium nitrate, mostly because nitrogen is still something that the plant will always require. In fact, you apply the requirement of the crop mostly is around about 60 to 70% before flowering. And when flowering occurs, you are still having the opportunity to add more. So this is the reason why people always go for the calcium nitrate. All right. Thank you. I believe I answered that question, right?
Yes, thank you, doctor. Okay, this is coming from, I think, same Babala Sunday Busaya. Is it advisable to repeat manure after using it as baser? Yes, but you also need to know, when you do soil analysis, there's what we call OM content, organic manure content. Okay, so you need to know what you have available already. Normally, through our guide, we normally say when you are planting vegetables, okay, on each planting hole, you do a minimum of 500 grams to 700 grams. Okay, now you will also repeat. There's what we call manure tea. Okay, manure tea you dissolve in water. Don't let me say the procedure, okay? So that it's for GrowVeg participant. But there's what we call manure tea. We'll teach you how to produce manure tea. When you produce manure tea, you sieve it out, okay? But you don't apply through the drip line so that it does not clog your emitters, okay? So you use knapsack and you drench. Okay, yes, you can repeat your manure even after using it as baser, but just make sure you are working within the requirements of your plant, okay? So that too much of there's some research now that have shown that too much of your manure also attract pests and diseases. Okay, our doctor can expatiate on that.
You've answered all the questions that you asked that I should expatiate. What do you want me to add to
Good.
that? You already said, yeah, you are very correct. You can repeat manual application, but the way I do it is mainly I don't reapply the manual. but I can apply manure tea, right? So once I've applied my basal, my I have like, if for example, if the standard application that I'm using is probably 20 kilograms per 2 kilograms per square meter, or let's say 20 tons per hectare, or it's 30 tons per hectare, whatever it is, I can apply that. Once I apply that as my basal application, I'm not going back to apply this normal manure again. What I apply next is manure tea or any other organic stuff that I want to apply to the field. So, but like Mr. Tunde mentioned, you can still repeat the manure if you want, and then yeah, it goes on like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, doctor. Okay, this is from Amos. You can say that. You can say that again, Mr. Tunde. There's no online training better than GrowVeg Challenge. Yeah, this is one of the GrowVeg 3.0 participants. You can see, this is testimonials that will not beg for. Okay, they are telling you live and direct that there's no online training that's better than GrowVeg Challenge. And this person say I can beat my chest to say it. You see, So if you are still doubting, okay, for those still doubting, just go to growveg.levelfresh.com, then you register. Okay, just go to growveg.levelfresh.com to register for 5.0. Okay, uh still have some uh okay. A simple way for strangers to access Dr. Abidemi Talabi. Dr. Abidemi Talabi is that, okay? Dr. Abidemi Talabi is to join the GrowVeg Challenge, tricky code. Yes, that's the secret code, though. If you want to, like I said the other time, if you want to have access to doctor, just join the GrowVeg Challenge. Okay. This is coming from Elish Chike. I think Level Fresh should consider adding soilless farming, using rice ox, etc. in their training program. Okay, doctor, that is for you. So we should consider soilless farming now. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, we have received your suggestion. It's well received. But there's something that I always laugh at. Um I love soilless farming. I do a lot of soilless farming here, right? So it's not like, and also it's part of our training actually. It's part of the online training. If you look at our first, the curriculum we have for the first week is actually on open field. The entire second week training is on soilless farming, and but it's still, it's theoretical. And we now advise people, you can go ahead if we have a lot of our participants who have farms where they are doing soilless farming. A lot. One of them even wanted to engage me. He want to employ me from Dubai. That he will bring me to Nigeria. When I told him that he should pay me $15,000 per month, then he ran away. Right. So, but what I just want to add is this: as good as all these technologies are, you do what is actually what works for you in your environment. You understand? We have good soil. One of the solutions in Dubai, why people are doing soilless farming in Dubai, is because they have poor soils. The soil is barren. The soil cannot grow any crop. You cannot say the same of our soil in Nigeria, right? So people are looking for solutions to their problem. If you don't have problem, that solution might not be the right one for you. But I know it's now modern agriculture. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, we are doing soilless." Yeah, that's why we train people on soilless. So it's your choice. You can buy grow bags. You can even do in deep water culture, whatever. All of these things you can do them. They are part of what we are training on. So it's just left to you. But we are not. When we are business, when we are doing our own business, we do our calculations, right? Again, one of the reasons why some people they are surprised that when you do 1 acre, I don't want to talk much on this so that people will not think that I'm biased. We are not limited in any way to do extensive soilless farming, right? But it's not just what we see as necessary. We are doing just a bit of it, right? And we are training people also on how to go about it. So if anybody needs training on soilless, you are not in the wrong place. It's part of our training curriculum. A whole week is dedicated to that. But I'm just saying what works for you might not be soilless, Okay. But if you, but you know, we have to be modern also so that people will say, you know, and there was one research that I did. It might surprise some of you that the quality of the produce that comes actually from the soil based compared to the soilless. Anyway, I don't want to talk because some of you, when you produce crops, you don't even do the analysis of the final product to see what is the nutrient composition of that product, that fruit that you have harvested. You have grown bell pepper, it looks so nice, so lovely. Everybody says, "Oh, it looks so nice." Have you done any analysis to actually see the final composition of the bell pepper that you harvested from that particular growing medium? Right? Compare it to soil. So me, I'm not saying, me, I'm telling you, I compared growing in soil with growing in cocoa pit and growing in perlite and also growing in a combination of perlite and cocoa pit. And I'm telling you, so these are some of the things that we don't need to talk much about. But the problem is that when you come to a place, I tell people there is problem with water scarcity. People are using drip irrigation, right? In Nigeria, we are still wasting water because we have so much water. Because water scarcity is not our problem, right? There is problem with soil salinity. The soil is having high salinity. The soil is poor. The soil is fertile. You cannot grow in that kind of soil. So you need another medium. This is why people are talking about use cocoa pit, use perlite, vermiculite, and all of these things. In Nigeria, our soil is fertile. Why do I need to use that? Okay, but I'm saying I'm not throwing any debate out here. I'm just saying my own. Do you understand? Now you also say, oh, there is problem. Our water is salty, right? That's why every farmer here, they have this reverse osmosis machine because they cannot grow crops with the water they are getting directly from the from the groundwater resources because it is highly salty, right? So if I'm in Nigeria and my own water, the soil is not salty, it's a normal water that I can use to grow the crop. Will I just decide that because everybody is using reverse osmosis machine out in their own country, I also need a reverse osmosis machine to grow my crops? So you see the point I'm trying to make. But like I said, we have to move the modern way. So everybody is talking about, doing this. So, and that's why we train people on it. And the choice is yours. Like I mentioned, if you go through our page, you see a lot of our participants who are doing soilless farming and they got the training from us. So it's not something new. Okay. Thank you. But I don't think maybe Mr. Today we had rice husk has not been part of what we have been using. And we have not been training on rice husk. Yeah. So, but Mr. Tunde can add to that. But we have been training on the ones that are being used in the advanced world. Most people are using cocoa peat, perlite, and all the likes. Yeah. So we are doing that. Thank you. I hope I answered that question, or I did not.
Yes, you did, doctor. Okay. Yeah, our time is far spent now. So, doctor, one last question for you. Okay, and it's a combined question. Okay. Uh, what are the key takeaways you would like participants to remember when managing nutrients in vegetable production? Okay, what are the key takeaways you like participants to remember when managing nutrients in vegetable production? That is for GrowVeg participants. Okay. Now, for those who are still doubting, who are still not sure, what's your word for them? They're still not sure about GrowVeg challenge. What's your word for them?
Okay, thank you. So the first one about the participants, what they should remember in managing nutrients. The first thing is that you have to know your starting point, which is trying to know what medium are you using to grow your crop. And when you have that medium in mind, so if you are using soil, you know that you need to know what the nutrient status is for the soil. In terms of what are the nutrients that are present, are they available in sufficient quantity or they are not? They're available in limited quantity or they're available in excess. That is one. Again, is the pH the right one? Do you need to amend the soil for the soil to be in the right pH for absorption for the plant to be able to absorb the nutrients? That's another one. Then you also need to know the nutritional requirement of your crop. And this actually will be influenced also by age and development of the crop. Okay. So you need that. And again, you need to have the knowledge of how much your crop can absorb per day. Don't give more than the plant requires, except you want to use slow release fertilizer. Of course, slow release fertilizer works in our environment and people can use it, and then it continues to release fertilizer, over and again to, the plants. And then one last thing that I will also add is that always remember that when your plant is healthy, if you feed your plant very well, it actually saves you a lot, because the plant also, the immune system of the plant will be strong enough to withstand invasion of pests and diseases. So you will spend a bit less on that if you manage your nutrients perfectly well. And the rest is history, like they say. I wish you all the best. But for those who are still doubting, I just want to say there are two ways, to learn. It's either you do it yourself, figuring out the stuffs yourself by try and error. You fall down, you rise up, you wake up, you sleep, go up, you fall down, and do all of those things. That is one way to learn, yes. But there's another way. When you are learning in that way of a try and error, I will do this on myself. Oh, let me go and look at YouTube. Somebody has done YouTube video. These guys, they want to charge me how much just to show me how to grow vegetable. And my grandfather was a vegetable farmer. All those things have changed. Now you know that the times are changing, and you have to change with the times. You have to evolve. Okay. So if you have a YouTube you have watched, all this DIY, they will show you the seeds. Before you know it, you already see the crop fruiting. What happened between the time that they were showing you the seeds and the time that the crop is fruiting? Nobody knows, right? So if you like, you can do YouTube.
Exactly.
These are the problems. And again, if you're on YouTube, if you run into problem, you don't have somebody to run to, right? Mr. Tunde was mentioning the other time that GrowVeg participants, they have access to me. In fact, they have dedicated 2 hours every week on Thursdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Nigerian time. I can attend to 4 GrowVeg participants free of charge. Each of them can have 30 minutes of clarity session with me. And this I've been doing over and again at no extra cost, right? So we do the strategizing together. We discuss what's happening on your farm, what are you aiming at, how do we go from point A to point B, and all of that. So there is a way to learn on your own, figuring things out on your own through trial and error. And there's another way which will help you to save time, resources, and will give you speed. And that way is to learn from, people who have proven results. Okay. There's one of these things we are telling you that we have not done before, that we are not doing. Okay. We have done them before and we are still doing them. And we're able to achieve, our results are what we can replicate. Okay. And we already have a template for all of these things that we have done. And this is what we are giving to people, and we're also supporting them, to get things done the right way. So you can reach out to Mr. Tunde if you need more information. You can see the number displays on the screen. You can also visit our website to get more information on the GrowVeg Challenge, and we'll be happy to welcome you, to the community of veggiepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you. It has been a wonderful experience with you, having you on in this studio, sharing a lot of insights and problems, and open our eyes to a lot of things when it comes to effective nutrient management. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm very sure our participants and even the viewers have learned one or two things, probably in the way they are doing things before, and now there's a new insight, a new way of doing that particular thing now. Thank you. And to our viewers, you've heard from Doctor. The best way to actually get more from him is to register for GrowVeg Challenge. Okay. And if you are the type that you've been doing production before and now you want to grow profitably, okay, a lot of people might know how to grow vegetable, but are they growing it and making profit? Are they growing profitably? Okay. So that's another thing. We are not just teaching you how to grow vegetables for your consumptions alone. Okay, we are teaching you how to grow vegetables and make profit from your investment. So and there are a lot of secret code. We've done this over and over and over and over again. We've hacked the system. We know the secret codes, and these are things we want to share with you. You don't have to go through the long journey that we went through. We have compiled everything for you, so that you can easily, within the short period of time, you can make a lot of money. From 1 acre, you can make as much as over 10 million naira in just 4 months. I can tell you, if you grow tomato, you can make well above 10 million naira from just 1 acre, and you don't need a lot of land. You can just sit down on that 1 acre or 2 acres. You produce twice a year. Yeah, just invest, get 20 million naira 1 year, soft. No too much wahala. You don't have to wait for your oil palm to grow. You don't have to wait for 1 full year before your cassava, so that's just that. Okay, and you can visit the groveg.levelfresh.com website to register for 5.0. Okay, or you can also send me a message on WhatsApp, to register. Just send me a message, just tell me, hi Mr. Atunde, GrowVeg, or just say GrowVeg challenge, anything, just say GrowVeg challenge, or just say GrowVeg, or say live section. I will respond to you. Okay, the number is 070-3385-8245. I will go again, 070-3385-8245. Thank you, and that's the end of our live session today. Once again, thank you, doctors. Thank you, doctor, for joining us. And our
Thank
viewers, thank
you.
you also. We'll see you before the end of the week. There's also another live session before the end of the week. Okay. Thank you so much. And this is the end. Good night.
Good night. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Bye.